Hey there. It's the end of another week. Hopefully you all had a good one. I was in New York City last weekend and then was in Florida both times giving talks. And it's great to be home. So I thought I would share another anecdote, which really is a compilation of similar experiences that I've had in medicine. So let's start with a tale of a person that I met when she was first diagnosed with ovarian cancer. She was older and she had a lot of disease. It was deemed dangerous to operate at that point because not only was there a lot of cancer, but she had a very complicated medical history. Most notably, she had just gotten over a heart attack. Given that circumstance, we started on chemotherapy with the hope that in time she would be able to go to the operating room. Chemotherapy for ovarian cancer typically consists of two drugs, carboplatin and paclitaxel. And of those two, paclitaxel can be a bit of a scary one because it's not uncommon for people to have an allergic reaction to it. And those reactions can be very scary. People can drop their blood pressure. They can develop shortness of breath, a rapid heartbeat. For all intents and purposes, they could look like they're in real trouble. And with someone who also has a heart condition, it also creates some anxiety about the risks of treatment that is aimed to help, but can cause such danger. Fortunately, she didn't have any reactions, but she also didn't tolerate the treatment very well. It was very hard on her, and she had to be admitted during treatment due to the side effects. And after several months of this, it turned out the cancer didn't respond as well as we had hoped. So at that point, she couldn't have any surgery, and the goals of treatment change. The way we can hope to cure ovarian cancer is with a combination of chemotherapy and surgery. And if one cannot have surgery, we really can't cure it. With medical treatment, though, we can control the disease. But with that sort of shift from cure to not cure and a goal of control, we also have the opportunity to really rethink how much we put someone through, how much someone has to go through for treatment to be effective. And she and I decided that we wanted to go ahead with treatment, but not at the expense of her having to be hospitalized. So we created a new plan, and that plan worked for a while until it didn't. We moved on to a new plan, and that worked for a while and didn't. And then we had a third plan, and that worked for a while and didn't. And each time the cancer progressed, she would get weaker and weaker. And finally, with this last point of cancer progression, it was clear that I would probably hurt her more than I could help. That further treatment may end up causing her to be hospitalized again, if not threaten her life as much or more than the cancer itself. And she and I had a very honest conversation throughout this whole thing, and she had known, because I have told her, that at some point I won't be able to help. And if we get to that point, that I will be the one to tell her. And we got to that point, and we decided not to pursue any further treatment, and she went on hospice care. And then I didn't hear from her for months. But she would cross my mind every once in a while, and I would wonder when she died, and hoped that she died in peace. And then I would say 6, 7, or 8 months went by, and her name appeared on my calendar. And I was shocked. Turns out that she had been home the entire time, that she was able to eat intermittently, and that she was still able to be with her friends all this time, and was coming in just to check in with me. And when I opened an exam room and saw her sitting there, I couldn't help but smile. That she looked as good as she did. And we chatted a bit, and she asked me a question. Why am I still here? And I thought about how to answer it, and would love to know how you would have answered that question. But I'd always been honest with her, as I try to be with the people I treat. And I told her the only answer I knew. I don't know why you're still here. She smiled at that and said, neither do I. And then we talked about what to do, whether or not we should try treatment once again. And we thought about it, and we mentioned the options and the side effects of treatment, and she came to the conclusion this time and said, no, I don't want to go through that. You know, I've taken my chances so far, and I know I'm going to die at some point, but at least this way I'm going to die on my own terms. And we left it at that. And I gave her a big hug and said, I am here to see you anytime you want. And she went home. And I think it was about 3 or 4 months after that, her daughter sent me her notice that she had died. And I knew we had made the right decision. You know, sometimes people do well, and it has nothing to do with me and medicine. And that's the truth. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, we all can maintain hope no matter what the circumstance, but that hope needs to be grounded in reality. Let me know what your thoughts are. And have a good weekend.